So today I'll be discussing a topic that everyone by now would probably know about. Unless of course you lived under a rock. But anyways, let's talk about Flint, Michigan. For those who don't know about Flint, here's what happened. The city of Flint decided to switch the main water supply from the Detroit water and sewage supply to the Flint River. The idea was to save money and to be a temporary solution until the pipeline from Lake Huron was built. After the switch was made, residents soon started to complain of discolored, foul-smelling, and water that just didn't taste right. Residents also complained of skin rashes, hair loss, and itchy skin. The cause of all this, poor treatment and testing of the water. Through this whole ordeal, you may be wondering what the city officials were doing. Well, they did absolutely nothing. That sounds like the kind of government we want for our communities, right? Well, government officials ignored the residents' complaints and failed to act. According to Melissa Dinshik from the NRDC, or the National Resources Defense Council, the river water was highly corrosive, and Flint officials failed to treat it, which caused lead to leach out from aging pipes into thousands of homes. It caused some major health issues for the residents of Flint. A study done by researchers at Virginia Tech collected water samples from 252 homes and found that nearly 17% of residents' homes had lead levels that registered above federal action level. More than 40% of the homes registered high lead levels to be considered a very serious problem. Crazy, right? And it's even crazier that the city officials were saying the water was safe this whole time. It's almost like if the residents weren't ignored, the situation could have been taken care of sooner. Anyways, according to Flint pediatrician Mona Hanna-Tisha, lead exposure lowers IQ levels, creating cognitive and behavioral issues for children in the future. Lead exposure is difficult to treat because it's an irreversible neurotoxin. And it was also found that nearly 9,000 children were supplied lead-contaminated water for 18 months. If you thought I was done with naming off all the health issues with Flint, well, you thought wrong. The switch to the Flint River also corresponds with an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, which is a severe form of pneumonia. This outbreak killed 12 people and at least 87 people suffered between June 2014 and October 2015. This is the third largest outbreak of Legionnaire's disease and recorded in U.S. history. Fecal coliform was also discovered in 2014. This bacteria was likely the result of the city failing to maintain acceptable amounts of chlorine to disinfect the water. Ironically, when the city added more chlorine without fixing anything else, they created another issue. It created elevated levels of total trihalomethanes, or TTHM, which are cancer-causing chemicals that are byproducts of the chlorination of water. Wow, seems like the city really tried to fix the issue, huh? So the question is, what was really done to help? Well, Flint residents actually sued the city and state officials in order to gain safe drinking water. This, of course, comes after the petition to have the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, to launch an immediate emergency federal response. And of course, the EPA failed to act. A motion was also filed that ensured that every Flint resident would have access to safe drinking water. In March 2016, there was a major settlement won that required the city to replace the thousands of lead pipes with funding from the state, a guarantee of further funding for tap water testing, faucet filter installation, and free bottled water through the following summer, and health programs to help residents deal with the lasting effects of the water. As of today, the city announced they would stop providing bottled water to residents since the lead levels have remained below federal action levels. But it's important to know that thousands of residents are still getting their water from lead pipes. Now, let's tie all into environmental racism. First of all, government officials completely overlooked Flint because of race. Flint's population is 56% African American, which makes them the majority race in the area. According to Virgil Bonero, the response was muted. The state response was sluggish and irresponsible. That does have something to do with people being voiceless. When those voices started saying, the water is discolored, it doesn't smell right, I got a rash, my kid isn't responding properly, these voices were not heard, and that does have something to do with being poor and a minority, frankly. It was also found that nearly 90% of the problems with Flint could have been avoided. Mark Edwards, a corrosion expert who helped expose the high lead levels in Flint's water, stated not implementing corrosion control was not an honest mistake. And his research showed that if Flint had maintained corrosion control from the moment the city switched water sources, the lead poisoning would have never happened. The residents of Flint, and just like many other minorities in America, do not have much say when it comes to political matters. The government didn't value their opinions or safety as much. The residents of Flint, like Dr. Monahan and Tisha, struggled to get the government's attention, and the government was unresponsive to their concerns. According to Dan Kildee, Flint's representative in Congress, I just don't believe in my heart that if this had happened to a more affluent that was not a major minority community, I don't believe that the state would have ever let it get this far. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching.